So thank you so much, James and Kate, for joining me today to talk about your plans for the Thames 200 Ultra Race, which is a brand new race in the UK that goes from the start of the Thames River all the way to the end before it becomes the tidal Thames. And it is 200 kilometers. You do it either as a relay or straight through. And both of you are planning to do it straight through. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Um,
And James, you have given yourself the extra challenge, I will say, of doing it prone.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, prone paddleboard. For those who don't know, it's you're either kneeling on your board or you're lying down, sort of front crawl or sort of fly motion with your hands. But it's pretty physical. It's quite demanding. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but yeah, we'll give it a shot, see how it goes. Yeah.
It's really exciting. How did you decide to do the Thames 200 Ultra and specifically to do it prone?
Well, I'd seen that I think David Hayes had supped it, so he's the sort of record holder for sup. And I'd seen that he'd done it in two and a bit days, and I thought, oh, it kind of sat with me a little bit when I saw it, and I thought, I wonder if prone's possible. That was probably a year and a half ago, and then I'd seen all the sort of subsequent kayak records, and then it changed hands a few times as well. So um, yeah, I thought this was a year to try and give it a go. Yeah, but and I've sort of had it in the back of my mind for a while. And I've done some plenty of other endurance challenges, nothing quite this long. So I guess it's just a natural sort of progression on from other things as well. So yeah, but looking forward to it. It's going to be pretty brutal, but going to be going to be good fun, I think.
I can't wait. I think it's really cool that you're doing it prone. It should be really neat. And that is no one has actually done the full length of the Thames River prone yet, have they?
Not that I know of. No, no.
So
I
you will
definitely
be the
certainly
first
think
one to
so.
do it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, yeah.
setting a new record.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea that there's no real blueprint for it. No one's done it before, so that's kind of quite attractive for me. I kind of like that um, there's a bit of unknown in it. I don't know whether I will or actually will or won't finish it, but we'll try my hardest to finish it, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of a draw that no one's done it before. So yeah.
You have done some endurance challenges before though, so this is not kind of 0 to 100.
No, no, no. I've done. We've paddled together. We did the Great Glen Way, which we mentioned to you before.
We did try and do it as a race,
Yeah,
but it got cancelled.
yeah. It was the COVID year, so it got cancelled. But we've done. So that was over 2 days though, so we didn't do it non-stop. So that's the 92-kilometer route across Scotland. We paddled it together in 2000. I paddled Loch Ness that year as well. So
Got 2000, done it?
2020,
2020.
sorry, 2020. Yeah, we paddled those in 2020. I did Loch Ness in 2020, so that was a record paddle as well. So I've done it. I've done records before, but I've also done like open sea crossings. We do a couple of adventure races up here over the last few weeks. Went out to Arran to do the Holy Isle Challenge. So like the paddling's fantastic up here. Really, it's really good, and there's a lot of sort of multi-craft events. So it's been really good to do those.
In the last few years, though.
Yeah, last few years they've sort of come about. There wasn't too many before that. It was sort of like stand-up paddle boarders and kayaks and open sea sort of ocean skis and things like that. They were sort of separate events, but last couple of years they seem to have merged, which is really good. Yeah, so there's some really good events up here.
But the longest you have paddled previously is a pretty long time on prone already, right?
Yeah, the Great Glen Paddle. I think we did it in around 14 hours. So
When was your Irish crossing?
six,
Oh, yeah, so
six,
that hour.
yeah. Um, So that, yeah, I mean that's I guess the longest continuous one I've done is the 12-hour event down in Torquay, and so the SUP 12 event. That's probably the longest continuous one I've done. Whereas the Great Glen Way was split into two sections, so it's two 7-hour paddles roughly, so 14 hours. But yeah, longest one hit 12 hours. So this is the same again and more. So yeah, quite a big effort.
Yeah. How do you have a rough estimate for how long you think it'll take you?
Uh, I have some guesses. I think well, based on what how SUP 12 went. SUP 12 was 12 hours, and I did around 80 kilometers in those 12 hours, including rest and stuff. So 2.5 times that, I think 30 hours. I think that'd probably be a max, because it was very different paddling on the sea, and quite hard in the wind, the crosswind and the chop we had. So it's quite hard conditions, whereas this is river and flow. So I'm hoping it could, it gives us a bit more speed. So yeah, somewhere I'd say between 27 and 30 hours, hopefully. But that's a bit of an unknown in my mind. I've been sort of running through loads of different scenarios, and I don't don't really know, if I'm honest. But somewhere in that range, anyway, I'd hope for.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I don't know. Also depends how you do on the actual day, doesn't it? How your body does and stuff like that.
Yeah. We'll
I
see.
think you have an idea of what time you'd like to do.
Yeah, always.
Whether it happens or not, we'll see.
I'd like it to be somewhere in the 27s, if we can get somewhere in there. But there's so many, like this sort of length of stuff. There's so many unknowns to it. How your body responds to paddling prone for that long. How you eat, if it's working. How you digest stuff. There's so many unknowns. So we'll just see. But I'm just going to stay on my board until I finished it, even if I'm floating.
At least you'll float in the right direction on the
Exactly.
Thames, which
Yeah,
is maybe
exactly.
not the case on the ocean.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually think that compared to doing the SUP 12, and for anyone who doesn't know, the SUP 12 is kind of a similar concept to Last Paddler Standing that Brendan Prince started, down in Torquay, right?
Yeah. So it's a lapped course as well. So it's a 3.5K lap in a bay in Torquay. And repeat laps. You go through a transition, get off your board, go through a transition, and go back out again. So exact same course, repeat. So I think I did 23, 24 laps, something like that. But yeah, it's a very different concept to this. I think like this one's similar in a way, in that you're going to be getting out and portaging every. I think on average it's like 4 kilometers between the locks, and there's 44 of them. So it's similar in that sense. But it's got some long stretches as well. So the reason I wanted to do SUP 12 initially was to try and just test how it would go on a prone board. That was a main idea for me, and just see was it possible. And I did pay for it for a good week and a half afterwards. So I think I think it's going to be paying for it for a good couple of weeks after the Thames. But yeah, we'll see.
I was going to say a week and a half recovery from something like that is honestly, I think it's not too bad.
That was just for the stiffness to go. I mean, I felt pretty off for a few weeks after that as well. But yeah, it's good.
Wow, that was a great accomplishment. And that was you were the first prone paddler to do the SUP 12, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, I don't think Brendan's had any prone paddlers before. There were 4 prone paddlers entered. So I was quite looking forward to it, getting alongside of 4 of the prones. But on the day, a couple of them were ill and one of them was injured, so it ended up just being me, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah.
The challenge you have up here is there are nobody else that does prone.
Yeah, there's only a few of us. Actually just started a little team. There's only 6 prone paddleboarders that I know of in Scotland, and we've just formed a team called the Highland Prone Paddlers. so we sort of get together and we sort of meet up at events up here as well. But yeah, it's quite a niche sport, and it's not huge in the UK. There's a lot of prone paddleboarders down south in sort of surf life claving clubs and things like that. But
if you complete the Thames 200 Ultra, which is the length of the Thames, which is the sort of world record piece that's been very hot lately amongst the kayakers and SUP,
yeah.
as you mentioned, if you're able to do it in 27 to 30 hours, well, that'll be faster than the fastest SUP so far, right?
Yeah. I think yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know how David Hayes, who's the SUP guy, how he did his. I think he may have stopped, had a rest overnight at points. When I was planning this, I was going to originally try it back in May, and I couldn't get my head around the logistics of it. Do I stop overnight? Do I try and go continuously? And then I sort of caught wind that the guys were sort of organising the Thames 200 Ultra, supported. Obviously, you've got the checkpoints all in built, so it was sort of that was perfect for me, because then that's a whole thing I didn't have to think about. And yeah, and then it sort of forced me down the non-stop route in some senses, because but originally, before, I was thinking I'll
I'll have to stop.
I'll have to stop. I'll do an overnight break, but still try and do it in sort of two really long days. But try and come in one day and something, rather than 2 days and something. So but this, yeah, if I'm near the 30 hours, that's one day and 6 hours or whatever it is. So that would be great. I mean, I'm sure another supper's going to come along at some point. I don't know if there's any sups entered into the Thames 200 Ultra yet, but I know a few people that might try for that record as well. So if it is quicker than the sup, great. But I don't think it's going to be quicker than the sup for long, because there's definitely a few people wanting to try that one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there are some SUP entries already.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, regardless, the record will probably fall. But depending on who's entered in SUP, it sounds like you could be not too far off some of them on prone, which is extremely impressive. But we'll see what kind of entries we get. We might get
Yeah.
some speed demons coming in on.
Yeah. Could well. I can imagine it would attract them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And what about when you think about the race? So obviously it'll be the longest that you've paddled continuously so far. What else is it about the race that you're maybe like a little bit like nervous or apprehensive about? What do you think are some of the sort of watch outs for you?
Yeah. I don't know if you've got any, but do you want me to go first, or should
You can go first. Oh, right. You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, yeah, I mean, the distance is obviously the main one in terms of apprehension. I just don't know physically how my body will cope with 200 kilometers prone. I know I can keep going quite and put up with quite a lot of pain and discomfort and effort from previous paddles, but I just don't know. It's a total unknown. So that's one. The second is the overnight sleep deprivation thing, and how that might
You're doing
impact.
a night shift.
Yeah, but I've never done a night shift in my
You'll
life.
just feel drunk in the morning.
Kate used to be a nurse. Oh, she is a nurse. Sorry, Betsy. So she's done overnight shifts in the past, but
They're horrible, but
yeah.
you kind of get through it.
Yeah. So So I mean, that's another one of my sort of concerns, I guess. I just don't know how the overnight will go. I'll be looking forward to the sunrise, that's for sure, when overnight. But yeah, those would be two main ones: the distance, the overnight, and the sleep deprivation.
I was just going to ask, are you all going to try and stick together for the race then?
I think so. That was the original plan. But I don't.
Unless you get a K1 that is just way too quick for me and I can't keep up.
Yeah.
That'd be any other scenario. But yeah, I mean, we were always planning to kind of do it together, I think.
Well, originally it's because of I was yeah, well, we had Lily and we haven't been able to do an adventure together for a while.
Yeah.
So we were trying to figure out, I guess this was like a test, a big test, to see if we could train for something like this, and do an adventure sort of thing. Yeah, we're managing it so far, but we didn't think we would be able to before we made this sort of journey to do.
No, yeah. So I mean, we've been doing a lot of long paddles, obviously, and building it up, building the distances up. But we've never been able to do it together, really, because we've got a 2.5-year-old, obviously. So if Kate's out paddling, I'm looking after Lily, and the other way around. So it's sort of we haven't had too many chances to actually paddle together. So from that perspective, it's just a bit, it's an adventure for us together as well. So yeah.
This is a different kind of date night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different Sufferfest.
Sufferfest day.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you might find yourselves in surprisingly good company amongst paddlers who would consider a 200-kilometer, trek down the Thames at full speed to be a romantic date night.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of those in the paddling world, isn't there? Yeah.
And you all have kind of an extra connection to the river and to the course. Is that right?
Yeah, so I lived near the Thames pretty much until I moved up here in 2013. So I did Sea Scouts on it. My brother used to do sailing on it. And he used to find it funny when he used to capsize the boat and throw me in the river, and when I wasn't expecting it, that sort of thing, as brothers do. And then I've got 3 brothers, and he lives near the one that used to throw me in the river. He lives near Oxford. So they also sort of, my family all sort of still live along that river anyway.
Yeah.
So the sections of that river I know really well, and other bits I've never seen. And so yeah, and I might still not see it because it'd be dark, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and a similar story for me, Betsy. So I grew up on the edge of the Cotswolds. So obviously Lechlade, the start, is not that far from where I grew up. And I went to university in Oxford, the scummy sort of university up on the hill, the ex-Polytechnic, Oxford Brookes. Sort of say the Brookes bit under your breath. It wasn't scummy at all. It was a great university. It was fantastic. Yes, and then we obviously lived down there for quite some time around sort of Kingston, Staines, where it's a really familiar ground for us. So it's a bit of a journey along the Thames for both of us, really, in sort of slightly different ways. But yeah,
It's a home river.
Yeah, it's our home river. Yeah, despite the fact we live the other end of the country now, but yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the event and the finish of the event. It's a long way, but the challenge is a huge draw. Yeah, that I'm really looking forward to actually see if I can do it prone. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. How about you?
Yeah.
I think actually finishing the training and getting there would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm already fed up of doing the training. It's like, how many more of these have we got to do?
It's quite hard when we're both doing it around a family. It's quite tricky.
And
work. It is quite tricky. So I think
it's like when you're doing the actual event, you've got the time off and you don't have to work, and she'll be with grandparents, so you don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
You just do the event.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to paddling together on it.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Unless you're in a K1, then it's going to be pretty painful for me.
But the one that's racing up, so But I want to go my own pace. Well, we've done events before. I'm like, okay, right, I'll see you at the finish.
No, it would be good to do an adventure together.
It would.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I love that you're out to have a non-traditional date night and see if you can maybe set a prone record on the Thames while you're at it.
Yeah. That's the ambition. Yeah.
Just something small.
Yeah.
Something small.